a true Muslim should not associate with infidels. So you are physically here, but mentally, socially, religiously, you belong elsewhere.
Now we've found this message of segregation being taught at the most important mosque in the country. It's visited by world leaders and even has its own interfaith department, which organises visits from government, the civil service, representatives of other religions, and thousands of British schoolchildren a year. The mosque says the aim of these visits is to promote understanding and respect between the communities.
So this is what we have in our heart. It's just
on this occasion, Mira meets them.
God, let me know how to reach you, the right way.
On another occasion, a group of non-Muslims is invited to sit down with the circle. The preacher promotes Islam to them, but talks politely about other religions too.
And the message of the Quran came to confirm the truth in the previous scriptures.
But as soon as the interfaith group leaves, the same preacher's tone changes completely. She now says Christian teachings are vile.
And we feel nothing sometimes when we pass the church. We don't look at it and discuss the thing, subhanAllah, what are these people doing in there? What they say with their tongues is so vile and disgusting. It's an abomination.
Teachings include that a Muslim cannot be tolerant of other religions.
He shouldn't just be indifferent and say things like, you go to church, you know, I go to the mosque, let's all stay together like one big happy family and all be united as humanity. This is false, this does not work, this concept is a lie, it's fake, and it's a farce.
The circle preaches for 8 hours a day on Saturdays and Sundays. Any woman who goes there to pray is likely to hear their preaching.
When she sees a kafir woman, big smile. When she turns around, she sees me there. Yeah. It's part of Islam, of the aqeedah, of the correct belief, that you love those who love Allah, and that you hate those who hate Allah. Okay?
Although the preachers say Muslims should act well with non-Muslims, in private they were often disparaging about their ways and beliefs. Regent's Park Mosque was set up 60 years ago to represent British Muslims to the government. It says its role is to help Muslims integrate into British society. The Women's Circle does preach against terrorism and doesn't incite Muslims to break British laws. But far from preaching integration, Salim says Muslims cannot take British citizenship. Their loyalty is to Allah.
There's some condition that can take you into the kufr, to take the British citizenship. And whether you like it or not, for these people you are selling your religion for, it's a very serious thing. It's not allowed to give allegiance to other than Allah.
And another preacher says Muslims shouldn't live in Britain at all.
It's not befitting for Muslims that he should reside in the land of evil, the land of the kufar, the land of the disbelievers. A Muslim should emigrate to a Muslim country.
On Fridays, the women can hear the mosque sermons from the main hall. These sermons are given to 1,000 or so worshippers by the mosque's official imams, who by historical agreement have been supplied by the Egyptian government and are trained in Egypt. These sermons, our reporter heard, were very different from the Women's Circle's teaching, stressing a tolerant and diverse Islam. But our reporter has found that upstairs, British women are being constantly exposed to hardline Saudi teachings. There are other links between Britain's Central Mosque and Saudi Arabia. It's been heavily funded by the kingdom, and the mosque's Director General is from Saudi Arabia. In last year's dispatches, we found the mosque's official bookshop was selling a number of speeches by preachers promoting hatred and intolerance.
The worst word that could ever be written!
Dr. Al-Dubayan told us the bookshop was independently run by a company called Darul Salam International Publications, a British company with links to Saudi Arabia. But he said he was seriously concerned and said that the DVDs had been removed immediately, pending an investigation. And he called on all British Muslim organisations to be vigilant about the message being spread on their premises, either during talks or on recorded DVDs. So our reporter went back to the bookshop and went to the same shelves to see if he had been as good as his word. But despite his promises, she found they're still selling the speeches of exactly the same preachers we identified last year. They're still selling DVDs of Murtaza Khan, a British school teacher and preacher. In this one, he attacks the Western idea that women can be independent from men.
The mental capacity of the society teaches you, I'm a woman in my own right. I can get my own job. I can get my own funding. I can get my own welfare. I can get my own flat. I can get my own home. I can get my own state benefit. I don't need you in my life. What is that? Deception of the devil.
And says men should control them.
A man is stronger than women, but men today don't know how to take care of their families. That's why their women walk loose. Their women speak loose. And that's their evil society, that Muslim society has become like that today.
And they're still selling DVDs of Sheikh Faiz, who was trained to preach in a Saudi religious university, condemning disbelievers.
The kafar. Who cares what they do? They do the most evil, filthy things. The disbelievers, the evil, wicked, mischievous people. Balak, you can see the evil in their face. Do not mix with people who do not prostrate to the oneness of Allah Ta'ala, who do not prostrate to the Almighty Lord. Keep far away from people like that.
Last year we found DVDs of him calling Jews pigs, who would be killed at the end of the world. In this new one from the bookshop, he is still condemning Jewish beliefs and Jews themselves.
The leader of pride or arrogance are no other than the Jews. Wallahi, they got the most extreme